Okay, Facebook. We got IG. Is Facebook up? Oh, we don't got Facebook yet. Alright, okay, there we go. Let's make sure we got Facebook up, we got Instagram up, and we got YouTube up next weekly. Let's take it back from the top. All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Sunday evening. Another edition of KFTV's Knicks Weekly, episode 115, presented by Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com. Use our code KFTV for 20% off plus free shipping. CP the franchise in the building. On the other side, my guy, Dexter Henry of SNY's New York Got Game. On the other side, Knicks go 1-2 on the week. Yeah. They got the win in Philly and two embarrassing tough losses at home to the Detroit Pistons and the Minnesota Timberwolves. On today's episode, we're going to dish on those defensive woes by these New York Knicks, man. What is going on with this Knicks defense? And Mitchell Robinson injury update, man. Is the Block Nest Monster on his way back? Let's talk about it, man. Plus, we'll take a look at the week ahead. Lock in, hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. All right. Dex, how we feeling, man?
Feeling good, man. It's been a busy week. You and I were talking about that. It feels like it's been a busy, exhausting week. And then, in terms of the Knicks coverage, look, we're getting closer to the trade deadline, and I know Knicks fans are going to they're exhausted seeing some of these recent losses. This has been a interesting month, to say the least, for the Knicks. It's been very, very up and down, more down than up, but I've been good. Can't complain, man. I've been good.
Yeah, likewise, man. Likewise. Always on the up and ups, man. But, for these Knicks, man, panic has set in amongst the fan base. As someone who takes the temperature of the fan base on a daily basis, it's at a fever pitch between these people. They're crying about every loss. They want the coach out of here. It's at that point where it's like, fire the coach. But yet and still, third place in the East.
Yep.
With plenty of basketball left to be played. However, there are legitimate concerns here. And look, man, it's got to start with this defense. Since their loss to the Thunder on January 3rd, that first loss where they had them on the ropes and they let it go, Knicks have the NBA's third worst defensive net rating, bottom 10 in both net rating and opponent three-pointers made, dead last in opponent three-point percentage. They gave up 22 threes to a good shooting Minnesota team. Minnesota, that's what they do. But they gave that up to him, man. What if you made of the defense so far, bro?
Yeah, those stats, that's now not a small sample size, right? Like going back to that first Thunder loss on January 23rd. With the game, I was at the game. I was at the Thunder home game, that loss, which obviously was dreadful for the Knicks fans. And then I was also at the Timberwolves game. The Timberwolves game, you see this, you saw it against Detroit, you saw it against Minnesota as well. The communication just looked like it wasn't there. That's the thing on the rotations. The team didn't look connected. Even now, look, in December they looked more connected when they were playing some lesser opponents, and that's going to be the criticism against the Knicks right now. The defense was trending up. They had got up to 11th in defensive rating. Now they're all the way back to, this is according to Cleaning the Glass, they're back down at 18th. That's not going to be good enough to get it done. We understand that, but what I see is communication. Do I think this is solvable? Yes. I think this team just has some things they have to tweak on, and I think they have to be better with the communication. The players have talked about this when we've been in there as the media in the locker room and asked them. They said, look, we're not communicating right now. They were asked, hey, is this one little thing? And they just said no. Guys are making shots. They're not communicating. They have to defend the three-point line better. You brought that up, CP, against Minnesota. And the other thing I think that's a concern for some Knicks fans right now is you've seen in some of these games, whether it was Cason Wallace for the Thunder, whether it was Naz Reid for the Timberwolves, you're seeing guys off the bench that's, lighting them up from downtown. So this is something that they say they're not concerned about. The Knicks is saying they're not concerned about. But what I will tell fans, and if you watch the video and you watch post-game video, the team was annoyed, I could tell, after Friday's loss. And I'm very intrigued to see how they come out tomorrow against Atlanta, because I did get a sense of, look, they care. And I think this team cares, and they're trying to figure some things out. CP, I know you are not somebody who's been jumping out the window on a
Yeah,
lot of
nah,
this stuff.
not
I
doing it.
think you've understood the process. When I watch all your stuff, you've kind of been like, look, not that you're not frustrated. You understand the process of what's going on with this team right now. And there were going to be some ups and downs. And so maybe I think whether it's the Knicks fans, whether it's the media, whomever, I'm not sure we should necessarily be surprised at some of these ups and downs with three new starters in the starting lineup, especially on the defensive end.
Yeah, and great insight by you in terms of, what's going on with the team from your vantage point in terms of covering the team when you're there at the Garden. And I got to start with that, with the communication front. And that's come from the players' own mouths. That's come from the horse's mouth, from Mikal Bridges to Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson. Like, communication is everything. Stephon Marbury's come on this show and explained that as a former player.
Yep.
The communication is just not there. He said that from the early days. And yes, there are holes in terms of personnel. Yes, there are issues in terms of their overall effort at times, which has been a concern, at least from my perspective. But the communication, man, if you don't have proper communication, all hell is going to break loose. And that's what it seems like, especially when they get caught out in those scrambles. Because we know that teams are going to target Jalen. And once you target Jalen and Mikal Bridges is starting at the point of attack and things start to break down, if you don't know where guys are going to be, if you don't have guys that are going to be covering for you, then all hell is going to break loose. And then that's why you're seeing wide open threes, guys late on rotations, guys late on closing out on threes, because one hand just doesn't know what the other hand is doing. We saw that case in point in Detroit. Back-to-back three-pointers by Malik Beasley, wide open to basically end the game. And so it's got to start there, but that's something that over the course of a season is fixable.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I'm glad you brought up that Detroit game. You remember, it's late in the game. Josh Hart over-rotated and left Malik Beasley where he knew that was a mistake that he should have made. And that's something, you have to trust that the other guy was going to come and help to the corner. I'm forgetting who had the ball before they passed it to Beasley. There was no need to rotate.
Well, it's Cade to Timmy to Beasley.
It was Cade to Timmy. Yeah, you got to let Timmy shoot that. When you're looking at the numbers, you've seen how Beasley has hurt you and how well he's been shooting the ball this year. You got to let Timmy shoot that when he's been more of a streaky shooter. So that's a little bit of, one, knowing your personnel in terms of just not who you're playing with, right, CP, but also who your opponent is. And that kind of awareness, I think, was a little bit bothersome. As you mentioned, they're weak at the point of attack on defense with Jalen Brunson, and Karl-Anthony Towns is not the best rim protector. Now, I think something what you're seeing, too, with Cat being out the last couple of games, that also adds another wrinkle into, some guys are not familiar playing minutes with Sims at the 5 as much and understanding where he's going to be. These are things I think they have to figure out. I think they can figure out. And like I said, I do want to – Mikal Bridges was very short with the media. And I don't mean this in talking about him in a rude way. I can just tell, you could tell when the losses bother these guys. I've seen it from Jalen Brunson. Obviously he's the captain and he sets the tone in that. But a lot of it is that the energy around the Knicks right now is that, yes, there are the defensive issues, but we have to look at the film. We have to get back to the drawing board and we have to figure this out. So for me personally, after these couple of losses I've been to recently, I think this team, I think they understand what they have to do. I think the mindset is there in the right direction. I see the hunger. I see the drive to want to get better. And look, a Tom Thibodeau team should be better than 18th in defensive rating. They still have a good way to trend up, but they got to start getting it going because some tougher competition is coming too, which I think is good. I think it's a good thing for the team to challenge them.
Yeah, no question about it. And, Mikal Bridges, he's part of the frustration, the overall tone that the fan base has. And Wingstop on a whole. I was laughing at a comment somebody made after the Timberwolves game. He said, "Wing fried." Because Ant-Man cooked him, Cade cooked him, But
I like that.
I think overall, the overall thought is that, and even sometimes with Hart, who admits that his defense hasn't been as good as it needs to be, is that they're not being felt by the opponent. They're not impacting the game that you would expect in a way that you would expect when you brought these guys together. That's been a major frustration, man. Like, and maybe it is part of the problem is like, Bridges playing out of position defensively. Like tomorrow, case in point, he's got to take on the Trae Young assignment.
Yeah, he does.
Like, is that ideal for him? But even still outside him, like OG, Ant-Man, like, Ant-Man's cooking. Like, where are you in that game?
OG to me, I don't know how you feel about this, CP. OG to me has looked a little bit lost the last couple of weeks, and I've been more concerned about the defense and the offense. Shot comes and goes, and this I'll say something that Mikal Bridges said after the Thunder game, the second loss. He said, "Look, that can't affect us on the defensive end."
Yeah,
but and I'm not saying I know this for sure with OG. That's not the point I'm making. But it's two things with him. The shot hasn't been there, but his defensive. He's not wreaking havoc like he used to. He's not covering as much ground. Now, to that point, and this is where the minutes police come in, I understand where all this goes.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's starting to get a little tired. He has so much responsibility defensively early in the season, so much ground to cover, and he's kind of able to roam free. He's kind of like the Knicks safety, right? And I wonder if that's taking a little bit of a toll on him, because he clearly was the Knicks' best defender through the first, 28 to 30 games easily, right? And I think you're seeing a trickle-down effect with Bridges, was defending well in December. Now it's starting to be, there's been some stuff with him where you haven't liked. I wonder if the shot has been affecting him. His shot has struggled as well recently.
Yeah.
But Wingstop has not been as good as we'd like it to be recently.
Yeah.
When you hit me with the name when we were at Summer League, I was like, yeah, man, I like that. This is great, because if you can stop guys from getting to the rim, this should be a strength of this team. Now, do I personally think they're going to figure this out? Yes, because I think these guys are too talented on defense. I just think they are. But it's got to tighten up. It's got to get better. You want to see them more connected, especially those three guys you mentioned, OG, Mikal, and Josh Hart. They got to be more connected on the defensive end as we get closer towards the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, the dog has not been dogging, man. He has not been biting as of late. And even in the Timberwolves game, like, he got fouled on a lot of plays, man. But he's missing dunks, he's missing layups and all that. Like, he's not finishing strong, man.
No. Yeah, no. Yeah, that's what's funny. I forgot who I said that to at the game that was sitting next to me. Oh, my coworker Bridget Riley. I said to, OG missed a dunk, and I was like, he doesn't normally miss that. He's usually going up strong and finishing. And so, listen, I say this all the time with athletes. Athletes are humans. I know all the very smart Knicks fans that we have here on this platform know that. Sometimes guys are going through things that we don't know. Sometimes it's fatigue. And I'm not doing this to blame Tom Thibodeau. I'm not saying that. But these things happen through a season. But these guys are professionals, right? And they have to figure this out. Either they will or they won't. I don't mind a little bit of adversity. I think it's good. I don't think that's a bad thing. JD had texted me the other day. JD was like, Dex, what's going on with the Knicks? Like, what do you feel? What do you think? And I was like, we talked about it. It was like, yeah, they're going through a little bit of adversity, but I think they can be okay. This group is too talented, right? And I think what they just need is to string together some quality wins over some quality opponents. And then Knicks Nation, they'll be fine again. Yeah. They'll start smiling again.
Oh, yeah, because they're in full-blown 5-alarm blaze panic mode. So,
oh, man.
I got fans already predicting the future. Oh, they're not going to make it. They're not going to do this. They'll barely scrape into the playoffs, somebody said. So, it's all kind of those just outlandish reactions. But, no, the adversity is a good thing. I've said it before. Like, the adversity is a great thing. You have, hey, take a look at the champs right now. Boston. 8-8 in their last 16. Mm-hmm. And what Mazzulla said, he says, I love where we're at right now. I like this type of adversity as being the champions and having our backs against the wall trying to figure things out. Like, that's where the Knicks are right now. They got to figure this thing out. But, like I said, if you pull this thing back and you're looking at 2.5 games out of the second place, 39 plus games left or whatever it is, right? They're what's their record right now? The record right now
27 and 16.
27 and 16, right? Yeah. So you got 39 games left and you're 2.5 games out of the second place in the East.
Yeah, CP, that's the thing though. Would you have, if I ask you this, would you have signed for that? If I told you that, like, you would have signed for it, right?
Yeah.
You would have said, hey, third in the East, 2.5 games behind Boston. You're 11 games over 500. You have the sixth best record in the NBA. If I just told you that, if I didn't give you anything about the defense, if I didn't tell you anything, I just said, hey, this is where you're going to be on Martin Luther King Day. You would have said, I think a lot of Knicks fans would have taken that.
Yeah.
And I love that you mentioned Boston. Boston, I watch a lot of these games. Boston, I think, has been a little bit disinterested lately, which
People expected. People did expect that.
Yeah, I expect that from defending champs. There's going to be a part of the season where it's like, we're just going through this. Now, I know Knicks fans are going to say, hey, Dex, the Knicks are trying to get somewhere, so they can't be disinterested. I'm not saying the Knicks are disinterested. I don't think that they are. I think Knicks are very focused and interested. I just think it's a process of what they're going through. All improvement and everything isn't linear, right? And nothing with this Knicks team is linear, right? This is a different Knicks team than it was last year, so there was going to be some adjustments. And I think everybody else is, not everybody. I've seen some of the fans, whether it's on your platform, my platforms, we got to change this. Josh Hart's got to get out the starting lineup. Precious Achiuwa's got to be it. The Knicks starting lineup is fine, guys. The Knicks issue is more, we talked about defense, need some bench depth. Those are the issues.
Yeah, and with the bench, man, we'll talk about trades in a little bit. Mm-hmm. Well, first off, the campaign explosion on Friday night.
Yeah.
Fan base went crazy. He had 18 points, 13 minutes. Comes in with a couple seconds left in the third, and then he didn't see him again, or whatever it was, the third or the fourth. Then he didn't see him again. Can't have that.
That was interesting to me. I did not hear what Tibbs said when he was asked about that.
Yeah.
I got the sense, I don't want to say this for sure, just from watch, I don't think Campaign was too thrilled about that. I don't think he was, and I understand that because he was cooking.
You didn't get to him in the locker room or anything. You didn't get to Campaign.
We didn't get to talk to him.
Okay.
I made a mention to him about something. He's a fellow Steelers fan, and I got the sense he didn't really want to talk. Let's put it like that.
He wasn't trying to talk no damn football.
Nah, not in a rude way. I just want to be clear, not in a rude way. Just sometimes, as a journalist, you're there and when somebody's not in the mood to really chat, and that's all it was. Now, but I think to be fair to everybody, this is not singling out Campaign. I think a lot of guys were not necessarily in the mood to chat or see us that night.
Yeah.
And listen, I think fans need to know that. You want guys to care. And I think that's why I was trying to harp on. I think this team definitely cares. They were definitely pissed about that loss. But, it's one thing to be mad. It's another thing to come back out and respond and do what you need to do, right?
Yeah.
But to get back to your point you were mentioning, CP, when you have the bench woes and Campaign is cooking, and I think Campaign has been solid for most of the season. He's had a little bit of a down points where he's made some fans, media scratch their head. But you need that offense off the bench. If he's a guy that's helping you, you need to take some of those minutes and pressure off of Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges. That was a head scratcher to me. I didn't understand him not getting minutes in the second half. I didn't see him do anything that was wrong. He wasn't one of the major issues on defense, at least in my eyes. For watch, I could rewatch the tape on that game again, but he wasn't one of the major issues for me. Did you see something? Why did he wouldn't have played in the second half? I didn't see it.
No, but I think overall, man, just the lack of size on the bench is going to lead this coach to still lean on the starters, man. He shook. He shook out there, man. And you got Minnesota out there raining threes. Nobody's guarding Conley. Nobody's guarding Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm. Nah, that's a good point about. It's funny. Somebody probably needs to ask Tibbs that about his faith in the lack of size off the bench. That's a good point, CP. Because it's true. The Knicks do lack size on the bench, and they really don't have somebody that can really back up minutes for either Mikal or Josh Hart's already playing undersized or OG, who's who I was going to say. The Knicks really could use another wing off the bench.
They need another wing off the bench, man. They need another one. They do.
They really could. They really could use another one. That's a great point. Yeah, and I think that's where we talk about the lack of trust, and I get the minutes police and everything. And here's where I stand. I've said this on other platforms. Mm-hmm. With the minutes, I'm not in the minutes category of Tibbs runs guys into the ground and they get injured. That's not the thing. Mm-hmm. The thing that I think more of is guys can get burnt out, like what I kind of was possibly alluding to with OG at points in the season because they're playing so many minutes. Not so much the injuries, it's just you don't have fresh guys when you go up against the elite teams that could play 8 to 10 deep, like we saw with OKC, right? Which you see the effects of that, and I think that's the part where I have a little bit of concern. But I understand also Thibodeau not trusting some guys, but I also think there's value in getting some guys some minutes because it could help you if there are injuries. So it's a tough thing, CP. It's tough, but yeah, I think you make a great point. I think Tibbs' lack of confidence in guys with size off the bench when you have to match up against certain teams like Minnesota.
Can't match up.
Yeah.
He's trying to match up. JJ in the chat says lack of size, lack of athleticism is a bad combo. Yeah. That is absolutely true, man. And that's what they need. And then, so you have the rotation where the Tibbs rotation is basically he wants to go starters in the third all the way to like 3 to 2 minutes left. Then you go bench and then try to get into the midway or so of the fourth before you can get to Jalen and them. But the problem is that because the bench has been, for the most part, ineffective. All right, I'm not talking about the flip of a coin campaign night. That was one night. We'll see what he does tomorrow against Atlanta, right? You can't rely on that every night. But because they are not effective, then he's going back to Jalen these guys with like 9 minutes left to go finish out the game.
And that's asking a lot, right? And it even like we're not putting Minnesota in that upper echelon right now, but their a team that had playoff experience last year, they have changes to their roster. You're asking a lot, and you saw this in the Minnesota game because the Knicks make their run in the third quarter, they get it down, and end of the third, beginning of the fourth, that's where Minnesota pulled away again, right? Once Tibbs had to go to the bench, or no campaign, but went to the bench. Yeah, I think that stuff does hurt them. And I've been saying this. I don't know where you stand on this. We haven't talked about this, but I wonder. I've been saying, people always say, well, where can you get the minutes from? And one of the things I've been saying is, you need a wing. Pacome Dadier, you drafted him, right? Can you find 5 minutes for him in the first half? Is it crazy? And I've talked to some of the other beat writers about this, and some have agreed with me. Like, okay, I don't think that's crazy.
Yeah,
you could get him 5 minutes in the first half, and if nothing, it just helps his confidence. Look, rookies are going to make mistakes. All these players make mistakes out there. Nobody's perfect, okay? But if they get some experience, now let's say OG gets injured. Now he feels confident. He's learned some things. We saw Pacome Dadier on opening night, right?
Yeah.
I know they had to play him, no pressure too. We saw him on open night, but get him some confidence. It's not necessarily about injuries. I do think it's about confidence and guys learning, and I think that could help a little bit. Look, I think Tibbs is a great coach. No, this is no shade, but I think inspiring your guys is part of coaching too, and building that confidence, anything in life. And so I would like to see that because I think it would help the team a little bit more.
At this point, he don't got no choice because Scottie Pippen ain't walking through that door. So Kawhi Leonard ain't walking through that door. Like, this is just who we have. You're just gonna have to throw these guys out there eventually, man. Because I would not look for a blockbuster type of trade at the trade deadline. However, and so to everybody in the chat, once again, let me hit the reset button real quick. CP the Franchise, Dexter Henry on the ones and twos, Knicks Weekly, episode 115, presented by Manscaped. Use our code KFTV for 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com. We got our guy Scoop B on the Instagram side. Shout out to Scoop B.
What up, Scoop?
He shouted you out, man. He shouted you out, shouted me out. Shout out to Scoop B on the Instagram side. I think my guy David Zenon, if I'm looking through the Instagram chat, might be in there as well. So shout out to David Z. So to everybody watching on the Facebook side, Niall Peterson, Sean DJ Skinny, I see you in there. And YouTube, man, my franchise channel members, make some noise in the chat. Let us know that you're in here. Heavy. Salute to you guys, man. Salute to you guys. Knicks tipping off Monday matinee game at MLK Day. You know what I'm saying? Happy MLK Day in advance to everybody out there. So, Mitchell Robinson, the Block Nest monster, man. Tom Thibodeau was asked about his status with the media, and he said that he's done a really good job. Obviously, he's in the pool a lot on a bike. Low impact stuff. So it doesn't look like Mitch is quite sprinting yet. Says diet is a big part of that as well. He's lifting. He's doing a lot of things like that. Whatever he can do, He's done, which is good. He said he's making good progress. Not cleared to take contact yet, but there is a belief that he could be back in early to mid-February. Thibodeau expects him to be cleared for practice by the end of the month. Your thoughts? It also says that he's expected to come off the bench if and when he does come back. Go ahead.
Right. So here's the thing with Mitch coming back. Now, I think in a perfect world for the Knicks and also the fan base, they would have liked to have seen him come back before the trade deadline. That does not look like it's going to happen, because if you think about clearing for practice at the end of the month, just means that you might be able to start running. That's not even saying contact, right? That's just
running,
saying that you might be ready to start running. Probably another, if this kind of aligns with the timeline, another couple of weeks where you can start taking contact, get to 3-on-3, then 5-on-5. That will put you around right after the All-Star break, which I think could be realistic. Now, I think Mitchell Robinson could absolutely help this Knicks team. The thing is, his Knicks team needs him to be healthy. Can he give him 18 to 20 minutes a night off the bench, play some defense, grab some boards? Absolutely, absolutely. And we know, here's one thing, guys. Tibbs will trust him. Tibbs will trust him. You don't have to worry about that part. He will trust him. The downside to it, OG, if the Knicks were trying to get information to see what his value could be like and what teams may want for him, a lot of teams are going to be like, well, I need to see this guy play. Unless they just have the cap space to absorb, like if you're like a Washington, where Jonas Valanciunas has been mentioned, and then, you guys got Mitch to comment on the IG right there. Listen, I think that in a way, and I know this is going to disappoint some Knicks fans here, this might be the trade deadline move. This might be your best acquisition. Do I think there could be another smaller acquisition made? I'm sure we'll get into this soon. Yes, but this might be it. I think it's encouraging that he's coming back. I wouldn't expect to see him till after the All-Star break. That would be my expectation. The Knicks are going to be very cautious with this. And I think when he comes back, the Knicks are going to be very cautious with this, because their mindset is going to be, we need him back on the court and we need him healthy as possible before the playoffs. So if he's healthy, this is a big boost for the Knicks. But that's the key thing with Mitch. He's got to be healthy.
He's got to be healthy. But as you said, his impact, they miss him and iHeart's contributions to this team tremendously, bro. Tremendously. And I think the key thing that people get wrong all the time is like, oh, he's not the savior, he's not the savior. Well, if you look at him last year, standalone, he's not the reason why the Knicks were a great team. But you add him to that mix, what they do defensively, what they do on the offensive side of the boards, his contributions on those two sides as it relates to the collective is enormous. Like, you can't overlook that. And so I think that's part of the issue, is that, especially with this starting five right now, when Towns is there, is that, offensively they can be unleashed, but defensively, Cat's not a rim protector. He's not a rim protector. And so when things are breaking down in the perimeter and they're barreling down on him, whether he's in drop coverage or not, everybody's trying to help, because he's the last line of defense and he's not sending anything back.
No.
And I think that hurts him. Whereas if you have a guy like a Robinson out there, hey, guys might think twice. Guys might slow the tempo down a little bit before trying to take it inside on a block nest monster. And then that way you may not have to be over-rotating or over-helping, right? Guys can stay at home a little bit more because you got a guy like Mitch there. I think it makes a tremendous difference, especially if you put the two of them together in the front court.
Which, and that was the point I was going to say. I was going to make that point, because that gives you the versatility, the optionality, I should say, right, to do that. And it's a look that the Knicks can show that they won't have. Like, think about the teams that haven't seen him do that, right? Whether they pull it out later against Boston or Cleveland or whoever it may be, you're going to need that size. And that's huge, where if you could play Cat at the 4, I still think he'll come off the bench, like Tibbs said. But what if you get into a game and Mitch is doing really well defensively? You're like, all right, let me put Cat at the 4, keep Mitch at the 5. I think you're right. I think it affects them. It affects them huge, where they will not have to over-rotate. Cat played last year at the 4 next to Rudy Gobert, one of the best defensive centers in the league. So he's shown he could do that. And that was one of the best defenses in the league, with Cat, who's not a plus defender, playing at the 4. So I think there's positives here. I think the Knicks are likely to keep Mitch. I don't think he gets moved at the deadline. I'm not reporting that. I don't have any information on that. I'm just saying I don't think it's likely, in my opinion, that happens. And I actually think it's the right move. I could see them making another fringe move to maybe get a bigger wing or another guard off the bench. And we'll see how that goes. But just getting Mitch back, look, Knicks fans, I'll say, once you hear that he's cleared for contact, that's when you got to get excited. That's the time to get excited because he's cleared for contact. He's starting to work on 5-on-5s. That's when you should get excited, and that could be a huge addition after the All-Star break or middle of the month, like they said.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then like if like if you're looking at alternatives like a Valanciunas, like look, he's gonna be out there. He's gonna get you boards. He can score. Yep. I like Valanciunas. Like as a standalone player option, I like him. He's not gonna help you defensively.
No.
Right? He's not gonna help to cover those holes. These people are going crazy over Gafford. Over Daniel Gafford with the Dallas Mavericks because Dallas is rumored to be after Gafford. Well, two things. The report said they want a wing. And number two, we got to not make these 2K trades because Gafford and Mitch are making roughly the same amount of money. So it would have to be roughly a 1-for-1. Or if you're not going to do that, you got to put up multiple people to match the salary to bring Gafford in here. He's around $13 million. Mm-hmm. So now you're going to pair off your depth to bring in a guy who's not going to move the needle. It doesn't make any sense. And why would Dallas want Nick Scraps and an injured Mitchell Robinson, a team that just went to the finals last year? We got to put our thinking caps on. A lot of people be rocking a tinfoil kufi when it comes to the trades. We got to be realistic here, man. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know what you're saying. I like the tinfoil kufi right there. No, because at least I'm with you. I like Valanciunas as a player. He's very efficient offensively in the minutes that he gets. He will grab you boards. He does not give you a lot defensively. The thing that works in that trade to the non-2K trades, the thing that works here for the Knicks is that Washington could absorb Mitch's $13 million salary. Valanciunas is only making 10. So that actually helps the Knicks in terms of where they want to be and staying below the second apron. It actually saves them some money for the future. And I believe his contract is not fully guaranteed for the 3 years. I think the last year is not fully guaranteed. However, does that help your team if you made that trade? If that trade was just that straight up, even if you had thrown a second round pick, does that help your team? Not sure. I don't think it really makes the Knicks better.
Yeah.
This is the other thing I think, CP, that Knicks fans don't want to hear. I'm never saying throw away a year. That's not what I'm saying. Anytime you have a chance to go for it in sports, you go for it. You try your damn hardest to go for it. But I think it's realistic to understand that there's only going to be minor tweaks likely at this deadline with the addition of Mitch Robinson back, and there's a very better likelihood that this Knicks team is deeper next year than it is this year.
Yeah.
With either one of these couple of rookies stepping up, some tweaks here and there. The major tweaks are not coming anywhere, folks. This is the core for the next 3 to 4 years. Barring they move Mikal Bridges or Josh Hart, which I don't see happening at this point, this is the core. You just have to tweak around it and allow the process to play out. But, Jonas Valanciunas, nice player. I don't think he necessarily makes the Knicks better if they traded for him.
Yeah, no, I'm not going with it there. And salute to Knicks fan wife 21 in the chat. She says, CP, same argument you just made about why would Dallas want Mitch is the same reason we will still be concerned when Mitch returns. Yeah, absolutely. The same argument about his durability. Obviously, teams will be concerned about that. So why would a team like a Dallas be willing to take that on, plus multiple years on his contract when you don't even know if he's going to be available for you this year? So that's why the best upgrade could be just keeping him, wait until he gets healthy, and seeing where things go from there. Now, if they're able to, fleece a team for Sims, hey, we'll see. We'll see what they can get back for the simulation. I don't know, but I wouldn't be looking for much, man.
Would you do? I saw this the other day, and I talked about it on my episodes this week. Would you do Sims and a second rounder for Alec Burks? I know you're the
You
president
see,
of the Berks Hive, so I
yeah.
know, man. I know who I'm talking to here. But yeah, would you do it?
You see, I closed the door for fans asking me. A lot of fans were asking me that. They were DMing me secretly, like, CP, what do you think? Can we get big money back? I said, no. Y'all put me through too much with the big money stuff last year. Don't be asking for big money to come back. He's down in South Beach. No sales, no state tax, no income tax. He's chilling down there. He's comfortable with Riley and those boys. I mean, look, just from a straight laugh standpoint, sure, but we need a wing, man. Need a wing. Need more. Need more.
Yeah,
wings.
like it's not. I know. Yeah, as much as you love, Burks, it's not gonna. It doesn't move the needle for you like that.
We need defense. We need a defensive innings eater at the wing. Like I would almost see, come vet minimum time when these things are prorated, can they find a way? Is Okeke the guy that they need here? Right? TJ Warren is balling out, but we need grit, physicality, and defense. We got enough offense. We got enough guys that can put the ball in the hole. Like, if Okeke's going to come in here and build a brick house, fine. But as long as we need athleticism, physicality, and grit. More of it, man. Because these guys are just not bringing it every single night in that department. And if they let Trey and these guys come in on MLK Day with the rolling of the dice and all of that again, I'm telling you, man. It's not going to be a good look, man. It won't be peaceful at Madison Square Garden on MLK Day.
Yeah. I'm excited to be at this game tomorrow, man.
Yeah, me too, man. I want to see what they're made of.
Because I want to feel the energy before the game.
Yeah.
I think this is I felt the energy before the OKC game. I think fans were really excited about that. Obviously the Timberwolves with Randall coming back, but that wasn't quite the same. This one though, yeah, fans are going to be ready. They're going to be in the stands early. Trey Young's going to get booed, of course.
Yeah.
Among other things that will be said. But I do want to see how they respond in this game. Did you take that? Because listen, I like animosity in the NBA. I love it. If you're the Knicks, bring on the smoke. Trey Young wants to blow in his hands, roll the dice. Cool. And I love Jalen Brunson's comments after it. You didn't like it? Do something. You got to go do something to win. This is the time right now. Back in your house, how are you going to respond? Are you going to show the fight? Bridges, you're going to be on him. You got to try to lock his ass up. It comes down to that, right? Like you got to try to do that. So I'm very intrigued to see how the Knicks respond to this game, particularly how they've lost to Atlanta twice this season. So I'm very intrigued about this game.
For one, we got to see what's up with Towns. He's going to be questionable for this game.
I saw he's questionable. Yep.
How is he handling things with the thumb, injury management, pain tolerance? Could it impact? David's in the chat right now on the IG side. David as a shooting coach with Towns and the bone chip. Do you think that it could impact? Could it impact his shooting release? Could it impact his form? What do you think about that? Because that's what I'm wondering, Dex. Does that impact his aggressiveness? Because you saw when he did first sustain the injury, and he drove to the hole, and they came down on his hand. I mean, you could see, man, he saw stars out there.
Even going for rebounds, you're going to start thinking twice. Off the ball hits off my hands, hands always hit, and you're going for the rebound. That is a concern with him, like how I guess that the news was good that he wouldn't require surgery this year, wouldn't need it in the offseason and all that, but you still got to manage and play through it.
Yeah.
And, we've seen it from the last couple of games. They need Cat because we see how Cat has transformed this team offensively. They need him. And the Knicks have gotten out-hustled and outworked by Atlanta twice this season. Yeah. So, Cat's leading the league in rebounding. So they need him out there in a major way, but at the same time, you don't want him to aggravate anything worse with his thumb, and you want to see how it goes. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see what Coach Z has to say about how that affects the shooting, because you would think that it would affect it in some way, but also just a lot of injuries is mental, as you know, CP, and it's like, does it affect how you go for the ball, affect how you shoot, how you might go for a block, swipe at the ball? All those things have an impact. So. Yeah, I hope Cat can play tomorrow, but we shall see.
If he doesn't, it's already going to be a very tough matchup. Styles make fights, and the Hawks beating the Knicks twice this season, the matchup is tough, man. First of all, starting at the point of attack, the Dyson Daniels matchup on Brunson, he has made it extremely difficult for him, whether it's picking up 90 feet or just using his size. He's not falling for the fakes. He's not falling for the footwork. He's staying right there. And, you know, with his wingspan, it's a very, very difficult matchup. He's going to force Jalen to take a lot of tough shots. And so Jalen, who can make those shots, that's what he's going to be in for, because you're not going to be able to get much inside on Dyson Daniels. And then, you know, they got wings galore. I mean, Jalen Johnson has killed this team. Jalen Johnson, I mean, I got to look up his numbers, because I know the last one he had a double-double, like a 14 rebound double-double. He just had another double-double against the Celtics. So he had 21 and 15 in the last one, 21, 15 and 7 in the last one, 23, 15 and 7 in the one before that, in the one in the one before that. So that's going to be very, very tough, man. You got Bogdanovich. You have, Okongwu, Capella. Those guys.
Yeah.
DeAndre Hunter dropped 27 points on these guys in the last one.
Yeah. The Hawks are, I saw somebody in the chat say they're a better team than the Knicks. I won't go that far. That's a bit much. I don't think they're a better team than the Knicks, but they are a bad matchup for the Knicks.
Bad matchup.
And I think a lot of it is the length they can throw at Brunson. Now, Brunson's been so good where I've seen him figure this stuff out that I think he will. But I do think this is a big game offensively and defensively, whether Cat plays or not, for Mikal Bridges. This is a big game for me for Mikal Bridges in how he responds, how he shows up in this game. And Dyson Daniels, I'm glad you brought up. Dyson Daniels has been tremendous this season.
He's been great.
He's been a fantastic defender. He's been a great part of that trade for the Hawks, and he's done a tremendous job in Brunson, and a big shot last night in the Celtics game. This is a guy coming into his own. There's a lot of these Hawks. The Hawks are a good team. I didn't say that to shade them. They're a good team. And when I previewed that last game with my friend Tabitha Turner, who's a Hawks reporter, you know, she was very confident about how they would play against the Knicks, and you know, I understand why, because they feel like it's a very good matchup for them. Yeah. And we'll see, man. I think OG, I want to see better effort from tomorrow. Mikal Bridges, I want to see a better, because they're going to need that secondary scoring. Yeah. This is where, especially if Cat doesn't play. He's going to, Mikal Bridges is going to have to be extremely aggressive on both ends of the floor. You need Christmas Mikal Bridges.
You need Christmas Mikal Bridges in his bag, man. And you know, one of the things, I was at that last game, the in-season tournament qualifier I was at the dice roll game. We were all there. And one thing that was quite noticeable, especially when you get to the second unit, was how easily these guys are just shooting over Campaign, shooting over McBride. Like it was nothing, man. You know, and DeAndre Hunter, 20-something points off the bench.
Yeah, listen. This kind of goes to my point that I'm making about finding 5 minutes for Pacome Dadier, because you bringing up the great point about size, and it's like, get a guy with size. Pacome Dadier's got some size. The Knicks, from all I hear, are pretty high on him. They liked him enough to give him minutes in the first game of the season.
Yeah,
I've heard nothing but good things, right? And I like the kid. I like draft the kid. CP, you and I saw him at Summer League, and you know, he had some shaky shooting performances, but we're like, all right, you can see what's there. He's got some size. See what he could do. Yeah. In fact, forget 5 minutes in the first half. This is a matchup right here. This one against the Hawks, a team that has some size, been killing you some size. If you take what you just said, CP, and the fact that Tibbs isn't trusting the lack of size he have to bench, well, you got a guy on the bench. Why not use his size? See what he could do. What's the worst that can happen than him shooting over Landry, Shamet, or Campaign?
Fair, man. That's fair. So to everybody in the chat once again, hit that like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the channel. Next weekly episode 115. CP the Franchise, my guy Dexter Henry in the building. Salute to our sponsors at Manscaped as usual. And also, matter of fact, shout out my guy David Zena. I'm looking in the IG side. He says, we were asking about Cat. He says, Cat is tough. Doesn't require a lot of lift on his shot. Set point is always consistent. I think he figures it out how to score more out of the mid post. So that's our guy David Zenon. So let's look out for that potential adjustment from Karl Anthony Towns. Hopefully he plays, man, because the days where he's absent are the days where you see he's a clear MVP candidate, because this team misses him, man. I mean, look, as much as I love Precious, watching him struggle to score with Gobert right there, just camped in the middle, or Sims it was a tough night, man. It was a tall order for these guys. Like, you just saw how much they missed Towns in this game.
Yeah.
Look, defensive issues aside, offensively, they couldn't score. They didn't even break 100 in that game.
Yeah, I think you make a good point about those bigs scoring inside. You saw them a lot bad turnovers. You know, Rudy Gobert intimidated him. Sims didn't want to go up. Precious didn't want to go up or wasn't able to finish over him. So that's something where you see how much they miss Cat, and it really changes their entire offensive scheme. Look, I want to be clear about something. I'm not here ripping Tibbs as a coach because I do think Tibbs is a good coach. And I think the notion of him being stubborn or not making adjustments has always been a little overblown, or him not playing young guys. I always have defended him on that because he played Emmanuel Quickly as a rookie.
Quick average 20 minutes a night as a rookie, man.
He played Quentin Grimes as a rookie, right? I know everybody's going to be like, yeah, Dex, but he didn't play Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin, would I have liked to have seen some more minutes for Obi Toppin? Sure. I think that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not that he hasn't played young guys. I think it's more to what CP is saying, the point that he's making. If he doesn't trust the guys, he's not really going to play them as much. And much as some of y'all loved Obi was not good defensively. We can be honest about that, right? But I do think there's something in giving some guys a chance when you see that you're lacking the size, because that's the point you're making, CP. They don't have the size on the bench. You got a guy there who's 6'8". I understand he's a rookie. I understand he's going to mess up and make some mistakes, but to give yourself a chance to compete against teams that have a little bit more size, throw him out there. That's all I'm asking. I'm not even asking. I asked for 5 minutes. I'm not asking for a lot, and I think my ask is pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
I don't think it's unreasonable. And again, I don't think there's other guys that could definitively say, "Oh, you could throw this guy out there." But I think Pacome Dadier for 5 minutes, that could kill you. That's all I'm saying.
True indeed, man. And as we look at the week ahead, so we talked about the Hawks matchup on Monday. Then you got back-to-back against Brooklyn. They gotta get that one too, man.
It's another home game.
That's another home game. you know, they lost 6 of their last 9. Don't let Brooklyn be another one on that loss chart, man. The Nets fans, if you saw, man, they're on Twitter, they're chirping because, they got nothing to talk about on the regular. So they always try to get in our conversations and get in our midst. It's just
what are they chirping about now? Because the first was Mikal stuff.
Yeah, that's all they have.
Okay.
They just want to get on. We told you about this guy. We told you, and, your future's all messed up. They just want to be a part of something. You know what I mean? It's that New Jersey net type of talk. So yeah, I say that to say they can't go in there and get embarrassed. They got to handle business in Brooklyn, man. You know what I'm saying? Definitely got to do that. And then you got Sacramento. They got a nice little break. And then you got the Sacramento Kings coming into town, who seem to have rebounded from the Mike Brown fiasco. Doug Christie has them playing a bit better. So again, no easy games on the schedule whatsoever when it comes to the Knicks because they just can't defend anybody. So there are no gimmies when it comes to the Knicks, man.
Nah, there's no gimmies. 2 things I'll say to that I think is interesting. One, between the Timberwolves game on Friday and the game on Monday against the Hawks, that's 2 days off, right? Or 2 days they had to rest. And then they have the back-to-back, as you mentioned. And then they've got, I think Saturday to play the Kings?
Saturday.
So I think this rest is good for the Knicks right here. I think they need this for Cat and his thumb, just for some of these tired legs have been playing too many minutes. I think they need all that. I think this rest is important at this time in the month because then they have a bunch of games I know coming after that. Memphis, Denver. There's some other games they have coming up towards the end of the month. Celtics and Lakers I know at the top of February. So yeah, I think it's good, but you got to take care of business. Yeah, you can't lose to. If they lose to Brooklyn, I'll just text you, CP, and I'll be tuning in. I'll be tuned in to you guys that night.
I'll be tight, man. The Hawks or the Nets, I'll be tight, man. But
man.
Yeah, either way, look, man, I said this. I was on my guy Jake Asbin, and I'll just close with this before we get to predictions. We're okay, man. Like, fans don't want to see it, and because we're just in like playoff mode and we're just trying to make sure that we meet those expectations every game we're living and dying, as I said opening the show, we're right where we need to be. They have time to get the defense in order. They have time to get guys healthy and be full. They're still not even a whole unit and still a team in progress, a work in progress. They have time to get it together. And I pointed to 2 teams last year. Because Jake was asking me, do you still think they can get to the Eastern Conference Finals? I said, absolutely. And I pointed to two teams in back-to-back years. The Pacers and the Heat. Both came up through the play-in and made it all the way to the conference finals. Did they have help? Yes. Did luck play a part? Yes, but that's part of the game.
That's part of sports.
That's part of sports. We're in January right now. You don't know what's going to happen between now and April. Let's see what the Knicks do. Do they get a margin play at the trade deadline that ends up helping that rotation? Do they improve internally? Does Mitch come back and help a little bit? Do they improve their defensive cohesion? Right? Does he find better rotations that help them defensively? All of that can happen, bro. There's still plenty of time. That we don't have to be panicking every night.
Yeah, the problem is, CP, is like some people are going to hear you say that and they're going to say, CP's being too optimistic.
Yeah.
And you and I talked before the season about how we knew the expectations were going to be raised. We understood that. I think everybody that, from you as a content creator to people in the media to fans, our wonderful Knicks fans that are very smart, they understand that the expectations were going to be raised. But I think the problem is sometimes, not everybody, but some people want tomorrow yesterday. Yeah. And it's a process. And these things take time. Look what it took the Celtics to get to the mountaintop. Look at the Nuggets a couple of years ago, right? And the year they won, their defense was about where the Knicks are right now at this time of year. So things can, if you're trending in the right way by the playoffs and guys are healthy and you add pieces, Mitch comes back, you add a marginal piece at the deadline, it could be fine. You just got to enjoy the ride is what I would say to the Knicks fans. If you love sports, you have to enjoy the journey, man. You gotta remember when you were 17 and 65. And I know the Knicks fans out here remember that. So enjoy it. The expectations are good, man. Expectations are good. Adversity is good. Enjoy it.
Adversity is good, man. Just enjoy the ride, man. Too many people panicking and fire the coach. And, oh my God, we're not gonna
fire
make it.
The coach.
You got people panicking about tomorrow. We'll be all right, man. We'll be all right.
Okay. I agree, brother.
Yeah.
I agree.
Dex, man, great show. Shout out our guy Brandon London. He's in the chat on the IG side, man. Shout out to Brandon.
London.
Yeah, man. Shout out our guy Dave Zidon. He says, more room to grow, can't skip steps. Player development isn't linear, man. Player development is not linear, bro.
Player development is not linear.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and internal development can happen within a team within a season. That's the other thing I'll add. That can happen.
It can happen. It can happen, man. Dex, what you think about the football, man? Divisional round this weekend. I was kind of grieving, man. But go ahead, tell me how you felt, man.
Wait, you were grieving because of the Giants?
Yeah, I was just grieving, man.
Okay. I was like, I didn't know if you took like another team on that you was rooting for in the playoffs.
Nah, divisional round, man. Lawrence Tynes, Brandon's co-host, man, said it best. He was like, because he was responding to the Commanders game. He's like, this team reminded him of those Giant squads, and I'm watching the divisional series. I'm like, man, I was just getting nostalgia, man. I was, and then
you remember when you were there watching those games in the city. I understand.
Hurt my heart, man. It just hurt my heart, man.
Nah, the games this weekend were good. Yeah. I mean, the games this weekend were good. That Detroit game was crazy yesterday.
Yeah,
I was at WFN watching. That game was nuts. I feel bad for the Lions fans.
Me too.
Because they've been waiting a long time. This is the best team they had, and I think what we should learn from that is, you could have all the best numbers, the best point differential. Look, man, if you ain't got that quarterback. This is not me, taking a crap on Goff right here. Goff had a bad day. I think he's actually solid. He had a bad day, but Jaden Daniels looks poised. Jaden Daniels is a problem.
He looks like a 10-year vet, bro.
Yo, this is his second playoff game, and he's out here looking. Rest in peace, Stuart Scott. Cool as the other side of the pillow.
He looks like a 10-year vet, man. He looks sensational, bro. Sensational, man.
And look, I know your team's still trying to find a quarterback. I was talking to my guy Brandon London about this the other day, and I get it. But yeah, he looks fantastic. The Eagles today, I don't think they were amazing. They didn't look great offensively, but they did what they had to do late. Mm-hmm. And then there's the Ravens-Bills game, which I'm sure everybody was tuned into.
Yeah. You gotta hold on to the ball, man.
I agree.
Oh my God, you gotta hold on to the ball, bro.
And what sucks is Lamar, I thought Lamar had what should have been. It will not be now, but the drive of his career. And obviously Mark Andrews doesn't catch the 2-point conversion and all that, but at the end of the day, it's what you said, CP. Lamar's the scarlet letter for Lamar is like can't get it done in the playoffs. I'm a Steelers fan, so I'm not rushing out here to defend him, but he hasn't gotten it done. You can't cut it any other way. You throw a pick, right? You can't hold on to there's no other way for me to cut it.
Yeah.
And he did that last drive, he was tremendous. Big time throw. Even his throw to find Andrews, and he's got to hold on to that ball, but if you take care of the ball, as we see in the playoffs, it doesn't come down to any of that.
It doesn't come down to that, man. Yeah, like I said, man, I was grieving, man. I was watching watching the Commanders. I was like, man, you guys look great. You know, Saquon. Oh my God, Saquon.
Oh, that's the worst part.
My heart was just torn up today, man. I was oppressed, man. Saquon.
Yeah, I don't even know what you root for there. You had to see Saquon doing things in Philly. That's gotta hurt. That's gotta hurt.
I'm conflicted. Because it's like, you know, we grew up with Saquon, man. I'm very happy for him. Like, as a personal thing, he deserves this, all the shine right now because he went through so much with the Giants and so much just nonsense. But like to see him doing it with the Eagles, man,
I know. And then what are you doing next week, CP? You gotta what if you don't have to.
Oh, I'm rocking with Jaden. I said it on Twitter. I was like, Jaden, I need one more. I need one more big game from Jaden.
Okay, so you're gonna rock with the Commanders. Yes. I know you can rock with the Eagles. I didn't expect that.
Never.
And I'm happy for the Commanders fans that I know. I'm happy for the Commanders fans I know because they've been waiting a long time.
30 years. 30 some odd years, man.
I'm gonna root for the Commanders, and I love Patrick Mahomes is that dude. I think if we can get Commanders and Chiefs, I'll sign for that.
Will anybody see Mahomes? That's the final boss. Will anybody beat the final boss? Can the Bills go in there and beat him?
I don't think so.
The final boss.
I just think until I see it, I'm not betting against Patty Mahomes, man. I'm not doing it.
Final boss. That's my guy, though. Still, man. I still rock with Mahomes. I know people hate on him. He's corny. Whatever.
I rock with
Mahomes heavy, man.
Yeah. So you room for Chiefs, Commanders. Both of us would like to see that.
Yes.
I just feel like you got to watch two NFC East teams play for the NFC title next weekend, and the Giants are nowhere close.
Nowhere close. Yeah. So that's why, man. I was grieving, you know. But in the history of NFC East, like, you know, when it comes to heartbreak, Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders, like the Commanders, they broke our hearts the least amount compared to the other two teams.
Understood.
You know what I mean?
Understood. And we like how Jaden Daniels. I understand what you're saying as a Giant. I think most Giants fans will rock with you on that.
Yeah, he's a pro, goes about his business. I'm rooting for that kid heavy, man.
You're never gonna be rooting for the Cowboys.
Never.
You're never rooting for the Eagles.
No, sir.
That's not happening.
No. Can't do it.
Can't do it.
Can't do it. They put me through too much, man. No way.
Next week's game should be good. It should be fun.
Yeah,
I just hope I just don't want you to be heartbroken watching it. That's all.
I was heartbroken watching Saquon. I knew he was gonna break open the game-ending home run. I knew it. That's what he does. I've seen it so many times as a Giants fan.
And they basically chose Daniel Jones over him. What CP? What do you want me to do a quarterback now that you know the draft position?
Anybody, man. If they can get Cam Ward, get me Cam Ward in here. I don't want the whole Shador with Dion and all of that.
You did tell me.
It's too many. It's chefs in the kitchen. I don't want that. There's too many chefs in the kitchen. That's not gonna work. That's a recipe for disaster. I love Dion. Dion's one of my favorite players ever. I love what he's doing in Colorado. I just think it's too much chefs in the kitchen right there.
How you gonna feel if he goes to the Cowboys?
I can't see. Well, he says he wants to coach Shador. So, like, would Jerry really, like, trade the draft picks to trade up to one to go get him?
It would take a lot, man.
It would take a lot.
It'll take a lot. I don't see that. But I can't see him if Jerry says to him, hey, come coach the Cowboys, whether we go for sure. Is he going to turn that down? You can't turn that down. If you're Deion Sanders, I'm Deion, he's Deion Sanders.
Would he really go for that again, man? Man, he can't. They just can't make the right decision, you know? For some reason, man. Jerry just can't get out of his own way. He's like Woody Johnson, man.
I was about to say, you sound like you're talking about the Jets.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're talking about the Jets.
Yeah. We just, I don't know, man. We just got to figure out. They have so many holes, man. And, you know, before you know it, neighbors are going to be like, yo, get me out of here, you know?
We already saw him frustrated at the end of last year.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, man.
Football,
man. Yes, sir. Man. JJ says, CP, come through the break in the story for football next Sunday. I'm going to be there for the game. Shout out to JJ. Yo, shout out to Break, man. I'm over there in Break heavy, man. Me and the Knicks chick, we got it popping on the Papa Shot.
Papa Shot, there.
Yeah, the Papa Shot at Break.
I've been in Break.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Well, Dex, have a great week. I'll see you tomorrow anyway, man. But have a great week either way.
Hit me when you at the game. I'll link with you tomorrow at the game. Thank you for having me. Peace to everybody watching. Appreciate it. Yes,
sir. Remember that the show's available in audio podcast format. No reason to miss it. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Knicks play-by-play live, hosted by CK2K, and then Knicks post-game live. We'll see who's hosting that. I don't know. I'm gonna be at the game, and then we'll see what's up after that. So most likely to be Alex and somebody else. But either way, tap in, man. Number one show for the fans by the fans. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.